All right, deep divers, you're ready to dive in. We're tackling cells today.
Cells? Oh, yeah.
You guys sent in some really fascinating stuff, by the way.
It's definitely fascinating.
Including excerpts from this textbook called The Fundamental Unit of Life. Very catchy, right?
I love the title.
So, get ready to explore the microscopic world that makes you, well, you.
It always amazes me how something so incredibly complex starts with, like a really simple observation.
You're talking about Robert Hooke back in 1665 with the cork.
Yeah, the cork.
I have to admit, if I were the first person to see that under a microscope, I think my mind would be blown.
Totally. Like glimpsing a whole new dimension, you know?
Right.
He sees these little compartments, and what does he think they look like? Tiny monastery rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And just like that, cells were born.
I wonder if he had any idea
No clue, right?
what he just discovered,
Yeah.
like the secrets to all life, basically.
The secrets to everything alive.
Talk about a legacy.
Wow.
Okay, so fast forward to now, we know cells are like, I don't know, the Lego blocks of life.
I like that analogy, the Legos.
Tiny, but together they build something incredible.
Yeah.
And speaking of building, our textbook actually had this really cool experiment
Oh, tell me more.
using an onion.
The onion peel experiment, yeah.
Yeah, have you done that one?
Oh, tons of times. It's a classic for a reason, you know?
Why is that why is that one the one?
Well, I think because it's so simple, anybody can do it at home.
Sure.
You basically peel off a thin layer of onion skin, put it on a slide, add a drop of water and some stain boom. You're looking at cells.
It's like DIY science.
Exactly.
Except instead of a baking soda volcano, you're looking at the basic unit of life.
Exactly. And you're not just following instructions, you're actually like experiencing the scientific method.
Oh, tell me more about that, because...
So you can change up variables.
Oh.
Like how thin is that onion skin? What kind of stain are you using? And you can really see how the cellular structure comes through.
So it's not just about onions then, is it? There's so many other living things that are just one cell.
Oh, yeah, our unicellular friends.
Like amoebas, bacteria, those always kind of trip me up.
Unicellular versus multicellular.
Right, like us.
Exactly. Plants, animals, us, we're all multicellular.
So that's where things get really organized.
That's where the cells really team up,
Yeah.
you know, forming tissues, organs, ultimately a whole organism.
It's like a whole city of cells just in us.
It really is, and each with a very specific job to do. A well-oiled machine, this is.
So then, are we about to zoom in on one of these factories?
Let's zoom in.
What are we looking at here? What makes up these tiny powerhouses?
All right, so if you were to zoom in, you've got your three main parts. The plasma membrane, cytoplasm, and the nucleus.
Okay, break those down for me.
So the plasma membrane, think of that as the factory's security guard.
I'm picturing a very official-looking guard.
Right. It's selectively permeable.
So only letting certain molecules in and out.
You got it. Controlling the flow of traffic.
High security.
You want to make sure the cell gets what it needs, keeps out any troublemakers.
What happens if something tries to, barge in uninvited?
Well, inside, you've got the cytoplasm. That's like the factory floor.
Okay.
All the action's happening there. It's a busy hub, different departments, lots going on.
Okay, so then at the center of it all, calling the shots, we have the nucleus.
Exactly. The control center, holding the cell's DNA, its instruction manual.
Important stuff.
Very important. Kept safe and sound, like the CEO's office, all the blueprints.
Okay, so how do these factories get their supplies in and get the waste out?
You're talking about diffusion and osmosis.
Yeah, tell me more.
Crucial for transporting those molecules across that selectively permeable membrane we were talking about.
So diffusion, what's that?
Okay, imagine you're spraying air freshener.
Okay, I can picture that.
That scent spreads out, right?
It does, yeah.
That's diffusion. Molecules going from high concentration to low concentration, trying to even things out.
So it's all about balance.
Ex-
What about osmosis? Is that similar?
It's like diffusion's cousin. Osmosis is specifically water moving across a membrane.
Okay.
So imagine a barrier that only water can pass through.
I'm picturing it.
Okay, you got that barrier. And on one side, you've got salt water. The other side, pure water. What's the water going to do?
I'm guessing it's going to try and, even things out, right?
Exactly. That water's going to flow towards the salt, trying to dilute it, trying to reach equilibrium.
So it's not just about the water itself, it's what's dissolved in it.
Exactly. It's all about balancing the concentration.
That's so cool. Okay, so how does this play out, in our bodies?
Let's think about red blood cells for a second.
Okay.
They're constantly moving through our blood vessels.
Right.
Now, if you were to take one of those red blood cells, don't try this at home,
Noted.
and you dropped it into pure water,
Oh.
that water would rush into the cell,
Why?
trying to dilute the stuff inside.
Oh, okay.
It would swell up like a balloon.
Would it, like, explode?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good.
Luckily, our bodies are not pure water.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, our blood has the right concentration to keep those red blood cells happy.
Keeping those cells happy.
But that's just one example of how important osmosis is, you know?
Yeah.
Too much water rushing in or out, cells in trouble.
That's some high stakes for something so tiny.
It is.
Okay, so we've got the membrane, the cytoplasm, the nucleus. What about everything else? It's not just the empty factory floor in there.
Oh, absolutely not. Don't forget the organelles.
Right, like the specialized department.
Exactly. Each one with its own job to do, keeping that cell running.
Keeping it efficient.
Exactly.
Okay, so hit me with it. What are some of these tiny machines?
Let's start with the endoplasmic reticulum.
Go what?
Endoplasmic reticulum, or ER for short.
Okay.
Think of it like a network of tunnels and passageways.
So like the cell's highway system?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
And there are two types. You've got your rough ER and your smooth ER.
Okay, what's the difference?
Rough ER is studded with ribosomes.
Ribosomes. Those are...
Those are the protein-making machines.
Ah, so rough ER, that's where the proteins are made.
That's the manufacturing plant. You got it.
Okay.
Now, smooth ER,
Yeah.
that's more about producing lipids, detoxifying things, storing calcium,
Lipids, those are like fats, right?
fats, but also hormones, other essential
That's
molecules.
pretty important stuff.
Yeah, essential for energy, communication within the body, all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
Now, once those proteins are made in the rough ER,
Yeah,
they often need to be shipped off
of course.
to other parts of the cell.
Makes sense.
That's where the Golgi apparatus comes in.
The Golgi. Oh, I remember that word from bio class. What does it do?
Think of it like the cell's post office.
The post office.
It receives those proteins,
Okay.
packages them up, slaps on a shipping label. You're going here, you're going there.
So organized.
Right. Some stay inside the cell, others are shipped out.
It's like they run on a tight schedule.
They do.
But what happens when things get messy? Like cells have to deal with waste, right?
Ah, you're talking about the lysosomes.
Lysosomes, tell me more.
These are like the recycling and waste disposal units.
Okay.
Little sacks filled with enzymes,
Okay.
breaking down waste materials, worn out cell parts.
So like the garbage disposals?
Yeah, exactly. Making sure everything stays clean, functional.
Efficient and kind of terrifying.
Right.
Glad my cells have those. Okay, so we've got protein factories, shipping centers, garbage disposals. But where does the cell get the energy for all of this?
Ah, you're asking about the mitochondria.
The mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell.
Yeah.
Sucked to that from like every science class ever.
It's true, though. It's where cellular respiration takes place.
Respiration, like breathing.
Kind of.
So the cell breathes.
In a way, it takes in nutrients, oxygen, and uses them to make ATP.
ATP, what's that?
Think of it like the cell's energy currency.
Okay, so it's like converting food into fuel. Amazing. So all those trillions of cells in our bodies are constantly working, constantly using energy.
Exactly, which is why we need to eat.
And breathe.
It
Exactly.
all comes back to the mitochondria.
It all does.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And here's something else about mitochondria.
Yeah.
They have their own DNA,
Wait, what? Their own DNA?
separate from the DNA in the nucleus.
Why?
So the theory is mitochondria, way back when, billions of years ago,
Yeah.
they were free-living bacteria.
What?
But eventually, they merged with other cells
Oh.
and became an important part of the cell itself.
So we're all part bacteria.
Kind of, yeah.
Wow. That is seriously cool.
It really is.
Okay, so we've covered so much ground here. Like we've gone from the basic building blocks of life to these very, very specialized organelles.
It's a lot.
It really is. But I
Okay.
feel like we've only talked about like half the story, right? What about plants?
Yes, plants?
They have their own thing going
Yeah.
on, right? To make all that green energy. Like, what's up
Easier.
with that? So plant cells, they have a few extra tricks up their sleeves.
Yeah.
Most importantly,
Yeah.
plastids.
Plastids.
The most famous one being the chloroplast.
Right. That's where photosynthesis happens.
Photosynthesis.
Turning sunlight into sugar, right?
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Chloroplasts, they're filled with chlorophyll.
Which is what makes plants green.
Makes them green and allows them to capture that light energy.
It's incredible. I mean, all this energy we get, ultimately it comes from the sun,
It really does.
captured by these teeny tiny chloroplasts.
And just like mitochondria, chloroplasts also have their own DNA.
No way, seriously.
It's true.
Supporting that whole theory that they were once independent.
Exactly.
Wow, two ancient mergers for one incredible cell.
Pretty cool, right?
It's very cool. Okay, so what else is special about plant cells?
Well, we can't forget about vacuoles.
Vacuoles, those are just like storage bubbles,
Right.
right?
That's what they are.
Important, but not like mind-blowing.
Don't underestimate the vacuole. In plants, these things are huge,
Huge.
sometimes taking up 90% of the cell.
Get out.
That's true.
What are they doing with all that space?
Maintaining the plant structure, regulating water balance. They even store the pigments
The pigments.
that give flowers their colors.
So that's why flowers are so bright and colorful.
That's the vacuoles.
I never realized they were so multi-talented.
They are essential for plant health and, even for us.
What do you mean?
Well, think about the crunch of a celery stalk.
Okay.
That's the vacuoles.
No way.
Or the beauty of a blooming flower.
It's all thanks to vacuoles.
It really is more than just storage.
Okay, I'm officially impressed by vacuoles now.
They're pretty amazing.
They are. And you know what? This whole conversation has been amazing.
It's been fun.
We've gone from these very first observations of cells to this complex, dynamic world
Trillions of these little wonders.
working together.
Exactly.
It really is. And, speaking of teamwork, how do these intricate, amazing cells, how do they make more of themselves?
You're talking about cell division.
Cell division, yeah. Mitosis, meiosis, those always sounded so similar to me back in school.
Yeah, they're definitely related.
But I'm guessing they're not interchangeable?
Not quite, but they both involve cells replicating. Mitosis, that's for your everyday growth and repair.
Okay.
Like making a perfect copy of a cell. Same DNA, same everything.
So when we get a cut, or our bodies build new tissues, it's mitosis.
Mitosis is on the job. Exactly.
So it's like cellular cloning, basically.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Our bodies need a lot of that.
We do.
What about meiosis then? That's more about reproduction, right?
That's the one. Yeah, meiosis is a little more complex. That's how our bodies create sperm and egg cells.
The gametes.
Gametes, exactly.
Okay, and what makes them different?
Well, those cells, they only have half the number of chromosomes.
Half the chromosomes. Why half?
Because when sperm and egg meet, they combine their genetic material, right?
Right.
Half from mom, half from dad. That's how we get a full set.
And that's how we inherit traits from both parents.
That's how it works.
So that's why I might have my dad's nose, but my mom's eyes.
Exactly. It's all about that genetic mixing and matching.
Wow, so meiosis is like shuffling the deck then.
It keeps things interesting, that's for sure. It's essential for the continuation of a species, all that variation.
Wow. It's pretty amazing when you think about it that way.
It really is.
We started with a simple quirk, and now we're talking about, the continuation of entire species.
A foundation of life itself.
It really is incredible how much is happening.
All these tiny little processes working away.
It's like this hidden world just beneath the surface,
It's true. And the more we understand it, the more potential we unlock.
That's a good point. I mean, think about medicine.
Exactly. Knowing how cells work, how they grow, it's crucial for developing new treatments.
It's true. We see it all the time now, these really targeted therapies, gene editing.
It's amazing.
And it all comes back to understanding this basic biology.
Exactly. And it's not just medicine. Think about agriculture. Even things like lab-grown meat.
It's all connected.
It really is.
So as we're wrapping up here, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this deep dive?
I just hope they gain a deeper appreciation for how amazing and complex life is.
Even at the smallest level.
Even at the smallest level. These cells, they're like tiny universes just working away.
It's true. It's pretty humbling, isn't it? When you think about it.
Absolutely.
We're all just these collections of trillions of little wonders.
And the best part is there's still so much we don't know.
That's true. There's always more to learn.
Exactly.
Maybe this deep dive will inspire some of our listeners to do some exploring of their own.
That would be great. Who knows what they might discover?
Exactly. That's the beauty of science.
It really is.
Well, on that note, I think we're going to wrap up this deep dive. Big thank you to our listeners. Thank you for joining us on this exploration.
It's been fun.
And until next time, keep those brain cells firing.